My name is Alyssa Bennett. I'm 29 years old, and I ended a 2-year relationship in less than 15 minutes. Not because I stopped loving him, but because in one moment, something inside me went completely still. No anger, no tears, just clarity. The kind that doesn't ask questions. The kind that already knows the answer. Daniel and I had been together for 2 years, living together for 8 months. On the surface, we looked stable, easy. The kind of couple people assume will eventually get engaged just because nothing seems obviously wrong. He worked in marketing, made around $42,000 a year. I'm a software contractor. I make about $160,000. It was never something I held over him. At least, I didn't think I did. I paid most of the rent, covered utilities, groceries, subscriptions, sometimes even his car payment when things were tight. Not because he asked, because I wanted to, because I thought that's what building a life together looked like. That morning started like any other, except it didn't. Daniel had been asking me all week to come to brunch with his friends. They really want to get to know you better, he said, smiling like it mattered. I didn't like his friends. Not openly, not dramatically, just the quiet kind of discomfort you feel when you know you don't belong somewhere. Still, I said yes, because relationships are about effort, right? The place was one of those trendy downtown spots. Bright, loud, bottomless mimosas, overpriced avocado toast. The kind of place where everything looks perfect until you listen closely. There were 5 of them, all women, all from his college circle. Polished, confident, effortlessly loud. I tried. I really did. Asked questions, smiled, engaged. But it always felt like I was being tolerated, not welcomed. The conversation drifted to relationships. One of them had just gotten engaged. The ring made its rounds, everyone gasping and complimenting. And then it shifted, subtly at first, then all at once. His best friend, the one I privately called the instigator, leaned forward, eyes sparkling with something that didn't feel kind. She looked at Daniel, then at me, and they said loud enough for the entire table to hear, "Honestly, you're way too good for her." Silence. Forks paused midair. Even the background noise felt like it dimmed for a second. "She's not even in your league," she added. I remember holding my glass halfway to my lips, frozen, waiting. Not for her to stop, but for him to. Daniel laughed. Not awkwardly, not uncomfortably. He laughed like he agreed, like it was funny, like I wasn't sitting right there. "Oh my God, stop," he said, grinning. But he didn't stop her. He didn't defend me. He didn't even look at me. The instigator kept going. "I mean, seriously, what does she even bring to the table?" Another girl chimed in, giggling. "Maybe it's a security thing. Dating down means less competition." Laughter. Soft, casual, effortless. And Daniel? He didn't say a word. Something inside me shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just clicked, like a switch flipping off. I set my glass down carefully, reached into my bag, pulled out my wallet, counted out exactly what I owed. My meal, my coffee, my portion of the tip. Placed it neatly on the table. Then I looked at him. Really looked at him. "You're right," I said quietly. The table went still. He blinked at me, confused. "You could do better." I stood up, picked up my bag, and walked away. No scene, no yelling, no tears. Just the sound of my heels against the floor, and the sudden, uncomfortable silence I left behind. The text started before I even reached my car. "Daniel, where are you going?" "Daniel, come back." "Daniel, this is embarrassing." "Daniel, they were joking." "Daniel, you're overreacting." I didn't reply. Didn't even open them all. Because as I drove home, something else settled into place. The rent. $2,400 a month. I paid $2,100. He paid $300. Utilities? Mine. Internet? Mine. Streaming? Mine. Groceries? Mostly mine. His car? Technically his. But every time he came up short, I covered the gap. And suddenly, the laughter at that table made sense. Because it wasn't just disrespect. It was entitlement. And the worst part? He didn't even realize it. I parked outside the apartment. Sat there for a moment. Phone still buzzing in my hand. And for the first time in 2 years, I didn't feel like I was losing something. I felt like I was waking up. By the time I walked through the front door, I already knew what I was going to do. And this time, I wasn't going to say a word. I was just going to act. By the time the front door clicked shut behind me, I wasn't shaking. I wasn't crying. I wasn't even angry. That was the strangest part. I felt organized, like everything in my head had quietly rearranged itself while I was driving home. Every overlooked detail. It's not a big deal. Every time I chose comfort over confrontation. I set my bag down on the kitchen counter. The apartment was quiet. Peaceful. For the first time in months, it actually felt like mine again. My phone buzzed again. Daniel. Calling. Again. I flipped it over. Face down. Let it ring. Then I opened my laptop. Not dramatically. Not impulsively. Just methodically. First, the utilities. Electricity, water, gas. All under my name. I logged in. Scrolled. Clicked. Scheduled disconnection for the end of the month. Not revenge. Just correction. Next, insurance. He was on my plan. Because it was cheaper that way. I removed him. Effective in 30 days. Streaming accounts. Gone. Wi-Fi. I paused for a second, then changed the password. Still no anger. Just clarity. Because the truth was, he never really saw what I was giving. And I never made him. That part? That was on me. My email notifications started stacking up. Confirmations. Changes processed. Requests submitted. It felt like closing tabs in a browser I'd left open for too long. Then I made one more call. The landlord. Hi, this is Alyssa from Unit 4B. A pause. Recognition. Hey, Alyssa, what's up? I kept my tone calm. Even. I have a question about the lease. Daniel, was he ever officially added? A shuffle of papers on his end. A keyboard tapping. No, he said after a moment. You mentioned it a while back, but we never got the paperwork. He never submitted his documents. I closed my eyes for half a second. Exhaled. So legally? He's not a tenant, the landlord said. He's a guest. A guest? I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was fitting. If I needed him to leave? I asked. A pause. Then, you'd need to give notice. 30 days is standard. But yeah, you can do that. Okay, I said, thank you. I hung up. And just like that, the last piece clicked into place. My phone lit up again. 23 missed calls. Dozens of texts. I picked it up this time. Scrolled. Daniel, why isn't the Wi-Fi working? Daniel. Are you seriously doing this right now? Daniel, this isn't funny. Daniel, answer me. Daniel, we need to talk like adults. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I set it down again. Because we were going to talk. Just not on his terms. He got home around 8. I heard the door open. Close. Pause. Alyssa? I was on the couch. Laptop open. Working. In here, I said without looking up. His footsteps were quick, uneven. We need to talk. Nothing to talk about, I replied, eyes still on the screen. A beat. You're being ridiculous, he said. It was a joke. I kept typing. Jokes are supposed to be funny, I said. That wasn't. Silence stretched between us. Thick. He moved closer. Sat down beside me. Too close. Come on, he said softer now. They were tipsy. I was tipsy. It got out of hand. I finally looked at him. You laughed. His expression faltered. You agreed, I continued. Calm. Measured. You sat there while your friend said I bring nothing to the table, and you laughed. I didn't mean it like that. You didn't say anything at all. That hit. I could see it. They were all talking. You had plenty of time, I said quietly, to stop it, to defend me, to say they were wrong. He swallowed, looked away. I was caught off guard. No, I said. You were comfortable. That landed harder. His voice shifted, frustration creeping in. So what, you're just going to throw everything away over one bad moment? I closed my laptop, set it aside, turned fully toward him. You threw it away, I said. When you decided I was someone you could let people disrespect? His jaw tightened. This is insane, he muttered. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I tilted my head slightly, studying him. Am I? I stood up, walked to the hallway, opened the spare bedroom door. His things were already inside, neatly placed, organized, separated. He stared, confused, then alarmed. What is this? You're moving in here, I said. What? You have 30 days to find somewhere else. The words didn't echo. They didn't need to. They just settled. 30 days, he repeated. Alyssa, where am I supposed to go? I met his eyes. Not my problem. His face changed then. Not confusion anymore. Not frustration. Fear. You can't do this, he said. This is my home too. I shook my head, slowly. No, I said. This is my apartment. A beat. You're a guest. The word hung between us. Sharp. Final. You're seriously kicking me out? He asked, voice rising. I'm asking you to leave, I corrected. In 30 days. This is financial abuse, he snapped. And that almost made me smile. Financial abuse? I repeated. I stepped closer. Not aggressively, just deliberately. I've been covering almost everything for 8 months, I said. Rent, utilities, insurance, groceries. His expression flickered. The only thing I'm doing now, I paused. Let the words land. Is stopping. Silence. He didn't have a response for that. Instead, his eyes softened. His voice changed. Alyssa, he said quietly. I messed up, okay? I'm sorry. There it was. The pivot. I didn't think, he continued. I got caught up. I would never actually think that about you. I held his gaze, searching for sincerity, for truth, for something to hold on to. But all I saw was calculation. You're sorry, I said slowly, because there are consequences. That's not fair. You didn't even think it was a problem, I cut in, until I walked away. His voice cracked slightly. I said I'm sorry. I nodded once. I heard you. A pause. But we're still done. That was the moment it really hit him. Not the argument. Not the logic. The finality. He sat down on the edge of the bed in the spare room, hands in his hair, breathing uneven. You're really doing this, he whispered. I leaned against the doorframe. I already did. And as I turned away, I heard it. The first quiet crack in his voice. Where am I supposed to go? I didn't answer. Because for the first time, he was asking a question I'd been silently answering for months. Alone. The first few days were quiet. Not peaceful. Not calm. Just tense. Like the air before a storm that refuses to break. Daniel stayed in the spare room. Door closed most of the time. When he came out, it was brief. Careful. Measured. At first, he tried distance. Like if he gave me space, I'd cool off. Change my mind. I didn't. So he changed tactics. Day 2, I woke up to the smell of coffee. Fresh. Exactly how I like it. He was in the kitchen. Already dressed. Hair done. Like he was going somewhere important. I made breakfast, he said when he saw me. Soft voice. Gentle. Careful. On the table. Eggs, toast, fruit. Perfectly arranged. A version of him I hadn't seen in months. Can we talk, he asked. I poured my coffee. Took a sip. There's nothing to talk about, I said. His jaw tightened. But he didn't push. I know I messed up, he said quietly. I want to fix it. I met his eyes. You can't fix something you didn't think was broken. That shut him up. He tried again later that night. Different approach. Lighter. Almost playful. Remember that trip we took to Chicago, he said, leaning against the counter while I cooked? You got lost trying to find that coffee place and we ended up... I remember, I said. A pause. Those were good times, he added. I nodded. They were. And that was it. No invitation. No warmth. Just acknowledgement. It frustrated him. I could see it building. By day 4, the cracks started to show. You're really going to act like I don't exist? He snapped one evening. I'm treating you like a roommate, I replied calmly. That's what we are. That's not what we were. No, I agreed. It's not. Silence. Then came the shift. From remorse to resentment. This is insane, Alyssa, he said. People joke. That's normal. You're acting like I cheated on you or something. I turned slowly. You let people degrade me, I said, and you enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it. You smiled. That ended the conversation. But it didn't end the situation. Because on day 5, she got involved. The instigator. I didn't even need to see her name to know who it was. The tone gave it away. You're a real piece of work, you know that? Kicking him out because your ego got bruised. Grow up. I read it once. Twice. Then I replied. Interesting. So when you said I bring nothing to the table, that was a joke. But me removing myself from that table is abuse? 3 dots appeared instantly. Then, you're twisting things. He needs you right now. I stared at the message. Then typed. He told me he could do better. I'm giving him the chance. I blocked her before she could respond. Then the others started. One by one. Messages, calls, opinions. I blocked them all. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. Because none of them had been in that moment. None of them had felt what I felt sitting at that table. Watching the person I loved laugh while I disappeared. By the end of the week, the outside noise stopped. But the pressure inside the apartment, that only got worse. Daniel was unraveling. I heard it in the way he paced at night. The phone calls. The quiet arguments behind closed doors. Then, his parents called. I almost didn't answer. But something told me I should. Hello? Alyssa, his father's voice came through. Tight. Controlled. Daniel says you're kicking him out. I'm asking him to leave, I said. A pause. Over a misunderstanding? I leaned back against the wall. Closed my eyes for a second. With respect, I said, there's no misunderstanding. He made a mistake, his father pressed. You've been together 2 years. You don't throw that away over something like this. I didn't, I replied. He did. Silence. Where is he supposed to go? His father asked. That's between you and him, I said. He's an adult. His tone hardened. This is cruel. And there it was. The word everyone uses. When boundaries inconvenience them. What's cruel, I said calmly, is letting someone support your life, and then laughing while people call them worthless. Silence. Then, a quiet exhale. We'll talk later, he said. The call ended. An hour later, his mother called. I didn't answer, because I already knew how that conversation would go, and I wasn't interested in defending myself for choosing self-respect. That night, Daniel didn't come out of his room. The next morning, the apartment was a mess. Dishes in the sink, trash overflowing, clothes on the floor. At first, I thought it was accidental. Stress. Distraction. By day 8, I knew it wasn't. It was deliberate. A silent protest. I didn't react. I cleaned my space, left his exactly as it was, and started documenting everything. Photos, dates, times. Not because I wanted to escalate, because I was prepared if he did. Then came the next move. Mail. His name. My address. Credit card offers. Subscriptions. Packages. I held one envelope in my hand and almost smiled. Predictable. I called the landlord. Explained. Sent photos. Within a day, he had a formal notice. Daniel stormed into the living room that night, letter in hand. Seriously? He snapped. You're going to involve the landlord now? You involved him, I said. When you tried to establish residency. I live here! No, I said. You stay here. That distinction hit harder than anything else. His face flushed. This is insane, he muttered. No, I said quietly. This is reality. And for the first time, he didn't argue back. Because deep down, he was starting to see it too. 3 days later, things escalated again. A knock at the door. Loud. Aggressive. I opened it. And there she was. The instigator. With 2 of the others behind her. We're here for his stuff, she said. No greeting. No hesitation. I leaned against the doorframe. Calm. He has keys, I said. He can get it himself. We're taking it now, another one added. No, I said simply. They tried to push past me. I stepped outside. Closed the door behind me. If you try to enter, I said evenly, I will call the police. That stopped them. Not because they respected me. Because they understood consequences. You're pathetic, the instigator snapped. I held her gaze. And you're still wrong, I said. They left. And inside, I heard it. Something breaking. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just, finally. That night, Daniel didn't yell. Didn't argue. Didn't try to fix anything. He just sat on the couch, head in his hands. Quiet. And for the first time since brunch, he looked exactly how I had felt. Lost. Daniel moved out 3 days early. Not because he wanted to, because he had to. I heard the truck before I saw it. Heavy. Loud. Unmistakable. A U-Haul parked outside the building. I stayed in my room. Laptop open. Work on the screen. But my eyes weren't really reading anything. Footsteps. Voices. His parents. They moved quickly. Efficient. Like people trying to get through something unpleasant as fast as possible. Drawers opening. Closet doors sliding. Boxes being filled. 2 hours. That's all it took. 2 years. Reduced to cardboard and tape. There was a knock on my door. I already knew who it was. I opened it. His father stood there. Expression tight. Controlled. We're taking him home, he said. I nodded. I hope you're happy, he added. I held his gaze. Not defensive. Not apologetic. I'm not happy, I said. And I'm not unhappy. A pause. I'm just moving forward. He didn't like that answer. I could tell. You destroyed his life over a joke, he said. I shook my head. Slow. He destroyed his life, I replied. I just stopped fixing it for him. That ended the conversation. His mother didn't even look at me as she passed by. And then, Daniel. He stood in the hallway, eyes red, face tired, smaller somehow. I guess this is it, he said. I leaned lightly against the doorframe. Yeah. A pause stretched between us. Heavy. I hope you know you're making a mistake, he said. Maybe. Maybe, I replied. But it's mine to make. That seemed to hit him harder than anything else. I really did love you, he said quietly. I looked at him. Really looked. And for a second, I almost believed him. But then, brunch. The laughter. The silence. You loved what I gave you, I said. There's a difference. That's not fair, he whispered. I exhaled softly. You want to talk about fair? I stepped back slightly, creating space. 8 months, I said. 8 months I supported our life. His expression shifted. And you laughed, I continued. When someone said I was nothing. Silence. He didn't argue. Didn't defend himself. Because there was nothing left to say. He nodded once. Barely. Then turned. And walked away. I watched from the window as they loaded the last box. Closed the truck. Drove off. And just like that, he was gone. The apartment felt different immediately. Quieter. Not empty. Clear. I spent the rest of the day cleaning. Not because it needed it. Because I needed it. Sheets changed. Floors wiped. Windows open. By nightfall, there was no trace of him left. Just space. And for the first time in a long time, peace. But real life doesn't end when someone leaves. It just shifts. I heard about him a few weeks later. Back with his parents. 3 hours away. He quit his marketing job. Found something smaller. Lower pay. Less stability. He had to start covering his own bills. Insurance. Phone. Food. For the first time, he had to budget. And it wasn't going well. His parents weren't thrilled either. I heard that part from a voicemail. His mom, I think I understand now, she said. He complains about everything. The internet, the food, the house. A pause. I never saw this side of him before. I didn't call back. I didn't need to, because I already knew. The friend group didn't survive either. Once the full story came out, the money, the support, everything I had been covering, things shifted. 2 of them messaged me, apologized. I accepted, but I didn't reconnect. Some things don't rebuild. The instigator? She doubled down, posted things online about financial control, about toxic independence. Someone commented under her post, if he paid for everything and she still disrespected him, that's not control, that's boundaries. She deleted the comment, blocked them. That told me everything. As for me, I'm okay. Not amazing, not broken, just steady. Some days I miss him, or at least who I thought he was. Then I remember that table, that moment, and the feeling passes. I've been working more, picked up new contracts, making better money, but more importantly, keeping it. Turns out, I was spending almost $1,800 a month supporting him. That's over $20,000 a year. For someone who laughed at me. The math doesn't lie. I started seeing someone new. Nothing serious. Not yet. She's a project manager. Independent. Sharp. On our first date, she insisted on splitting the bill. I like things equal, she said. I smiled, because I finally understood the difference between partnership and dependence. My friends have been solid. Quiet support. No drama. One of them told me, self-respect isn't negotiable. He was right. The apartment is quiet tonight. Dinner's on the stove. A show queued up. No tension. No noise. No one laughing at me. For existing. And that's not revenge. It's something better. Peace. Daniel wanted to know if he could do better. Now he's finding out. And me, I already did. Not by upgrading, but by walking away from something that was quietly breaking me. This chapter is closed. And for the first time, I'm not looking back.